we'll talk about traffic a little bit with the time I have left. Traffic system, again, traffic system varies a lot depending on manufacturer. Our traffic system was built around the concept of seasons. Season can be for any of your stations. So here I've created a season that is called a test season, which started in 2020 for some reason, for 4 weeks. So I made it small and short just for demo purposes. And so we'll go into it. Basically, the traffic system shows you a grid where you see all of your shows. So it's a type of view like you would see in a TV guide type of view. These are not events, they're really blocks. Within each of these blocks, you will have the various events. It's important to start with the blocks because usually when you do create your traffic, it's based on a master list where you decided every morning, Monday morning at 8, we have a show called Play with Cars, for instance, and it has a replay in the afternoon and a replay in Tuesday, and Tuesday at 8 we have episode 2, for instance. So let's create that. So I'll just create a new one. Let's say at 7. So we'll create a new block. I'll talk about templates later, but let's just take a 30-minute template there. It's going to be a 30-minute show, and we're going to make it part of a series. Now, the series is where traffic is very nice because if you place every block manually, it looks well, but it's not very efficient. And if you place every block manually, well, at that point, I would question why you've purchased a traffic system. You would have been better off keeping your money for something else. But if you have a normal schedule, we're going to say this one repeats one episode every day. Let's put it every day of the week. Save it. So now you see that it created my first run of every show, episode 1, episode 2, 3, 4, 5. I could have decided not to include Sunday and sorry, I have a Saturday at the end here. The screen of my demo machine is a bit not as wide as I would have wished it to be. So if you skip a day, then that day there's none. So let's say I'm going to create another one. Cars, let's say toys this time. And I'm going to make it part of a series, whichever. And I'm going to put it simply Sunday, Monday, and Thursday. So there, that means when I created oops, I need to have a template. Let's take another one, which is another color. Here, let's take a blue one. So here you see you have episode 1, episode 2, and episode 3 on Thursday. If I go to the next week, so I've just changed, you see the date here is the next week, episode 4, 5, blah, 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 until the end of the season. So that's really how you include your first, the first occurrence of every episode. And then there are replays. Obviously, usually. So when you do replays, you click on the first episode, and we simply come here to the replay UI, and in here we'll say that was when was it? This was Sunday at 8. Let's say that the first replay is going to be Sunday at 10, and then I have one later the day after. Sorry, Monday, the day after at 1 a.m., for instance. Do I have something at 1 a.m.? Oh, I don't think I have something. So then we simply do repeat. No, I think I did have something. Yeah, already had something at 1 a.m. So let's do it with I come back in it. So here we see that it created the replays, but some of the blocks it could not because there was already something at 1 a.m. That's why I got that error message. So either you remove what was there because you need to choose, as opposed to automation where it will warn you of overlap and gaps. In a traffic system, you cannot create an overlap. It will prevent you. There's only one thing that plays at a time. Because otherwise it doesn't make sense. And the reason why automation allows it to you is the concept of the chain. But in traffic, everything has a time. So If you create an overlap, it's usually a mistake, so it will not allow you to create it. So here I have the various repeats that are created, and you see that this is the main one. You have a little repeat icon for the one at 10 and the one the day after at 1. And if I had been more careful and I would not have had this guy here, I would have had the repeat of this one also here, and it's there all the time. So I see the time flying, so I'm really trying to rush and give you a very quick overview of that one. Last thing I want to show you is we talked about relative events before, so I just want to show you that. You've seen me when I created the blocks, I selected what we call a template. Template basically defines what type of events will be inside that block. So what will be exported to your automation. So if I open up a, sorry, where's my template here? My template manager, let's say, this one would be not, yeah, this one is nice. So you see this template, which is a 30-minute template, starts with that's coming from a customer. So it's this one, they have actually a fixed element. So they always play that like not a trailer, but the other way around, a run-in. So they basically play a show for 8 seconds before all of their show, and it's always this house number. So this is probably something like, you know, a station ID, or this show is produced with the sponsorship or something of that nature. Then you have your show, which is 28 minutes. And you see here that we have the relative events, which we see here. You see that they're nicely offsetted, so you know that they're relative, and they're highlighted at the top here. You see the view where exactly during your main show those relative events will play. So this is usually the way that you will build your relative events. And then at the end here, they have a trailer with a fixed one, and they have a block of promo. Traffic allows you need to create your grid, because you know you can't invent that. But as for promos, whether it be commercial ads or auto promos, the system allows you to generate them automatically. So we have the little gear icon here where I can ask the system to generate content for the playlist that I just built, and you will go in each of these blocks and fill them out. So it will fill out those blocks, generating the main shows, but also all of those static ones that we've seen, which are a very specific case. But also he knows, you know, for instance, that Toy 2 is here. And so in every show before, he's allowed to put a promo for Toy 2. So a promo video that would say, you know, don't miss Toy episode 2 on Monday, blah, 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 replay, blah. So that's a video that you would make. And there are a lot of those. Some stations have generic promos for a show, other are specific to episodes, and Traffic does support that. And you will not put a promo for a show that does not play or that was, you know, is not scheduled. And it will only give you the promo for the next episode, not for, because, you know, let's say you're here in between the 2 runs of episode 2, you definitely don't want to see an ad for episode 1 because that was yesterday. You either want to see still episode 2 or you already want to see episode 3. That's all configurable within Traffic. Same thing for the commercial module, where you can actually control the ads and all of that when they pass and all of that. And he's going to generate using an AI system. He's generating the playlist, trying to make the best of what you asked of him. What is tricky with a traffic system is sometimes there's so many parameters that you can actually end up in a situation where there is no valid answer. So he will do his best. Sometimes there will still be gaps, but he will try to minimize them. Sometimes also some people, they don't realize, you know, if you have, let's say, 5 promos at every show, if you want them to change and not having the appearance that they're always repeating the same one, you'll need more than 10 or 15 promos, right? So sometimes that's also the other thing, because due to, you know, marking what is valid, what is not valid at every specific time, sometimes you end up with time frames where there's not that many content that is valid. Traffic will do all of that for you and try to give you as best as you can. So here we've generated. So here you see we have our Toy 2 show. We have the relative event and a bunch of promos that were selected to be valid at that point in time. So yeah, I stopped before the end of the hour. 1 minute to spare. So is there any questions for that very, very fast overview of the traffic system?
I don't have anything specific. Anybody else have any questions about traffic?
No, I don't have any questions at this time.
All right.
Just
And obviously,
just for
sorry.
your reference there, we do work in broadview traffic. As a matter of fact, we're just in the process of learning about broadview traffic. And so we can relate some of the things we've seen here to broadview, but we're not totally up to speed on traffic stuff at this point.
Yeah, well, our traffic is similar to broadview. There are a few key differences between the two. I would say that the main difference that you will see commercially between the two systems, apart from the technical one, is pricing. Traffic system can be priced per channel, per user, or per system. So depending on the pricing model, it makes a big difference on the price tag. If you're a small station with a single channel, you will say that it's pretty much the same for you. However, usually traffic systems are a bit pricey when you run a single channel station. And if you have multiple channels, if you're priced per channel, the price does go up very quickly. So that is the one thing it's not technical, but I've had many people who, especially in smaller stations, we can be surprised at the way that pricing works for some of these systems. So it's something to keep in mind.
Yes. I do have some general questions really quickly here at the end. Your automation system in particular, would we have to have internet access to actually operate that system?
No, not at all.
Okay. If we did have internet access, could we operate that remotely from off campus?
Yeah, there is basically two ways of doing it. It depends if you say off campus as in a secondary office. If it's a secondary office, I assume they're connected to a VPN or some sort of network connection between the two. So you can have a remote playlist manager in the secondary office. If we're talking about remotely, as in from various people from home and multiple locations, in that situation, the most cost-effective solution is to use something like TeamViewer. So you would remote into the playlist manager, which would be installed in the main station, because that way you only have to purchase a single license of the playlist manager.
Got it.
So it really depends on the number of persons that you want to work at the same time and of your network infrastructure.
Okay.
I think Magdalene raised her hand.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
We had Magdalene who had a raised hand. I don't know if there was a question.
Oh. Madeline, you have a question?
No. All right.
Guess not. Any other questions from students? Okay. I really appreciate your presentation this morning.
Okay, sorry. Magdalene says that her microphone isn't working. Sorry.
Oh, I see.
But maybe she just press the microphone on the bottom left, I think. Or maybe I can try to.
We can wait for a couple minutes, a couple seconds here and let her type her question in the chat.
I think.
Yeah, I hope you appreciate it. As we were pressed for time, it was a very crash demo and a lot of products.
Yes.
If you have more questions, feel free. You can send them to Jessica or to me by email, and or we can set up another meeting later.
Okay, I think that'd be great. I'm very intrigued by the product. I was telling Claude earlier that we're running Synergy, and I'm not totally satisfied with it, and so I am interested in perhaps some other options, and this is very intriguing to me. So I do want to have some more conversations with you. And by the way, I was very familiar with.
Hello?
Oh, there she is.
Oh, okay. I don't know if this I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I don't know if this was already covered per se, as specifically as I'm curious, but I was wondering in Broadview, the way that we're learning about putting like a quote unquote playlist together to schedule what's going to be on air for a certain day. You know, when we like preview a certain block of a show that we're putting up, you know, there might be PSAs or certain interstitials that are already edited in. If we were using this software, would some of those interstitials be added separately, or would we edit them in with certain blocks the way we do already with Broadview?
You can do it either way. Let's say those interstitial like this, because this specific template is a program, like they do their promos at the end, not in the middle of the show, but we do support to have segments. So you will, if you add segment, basically the big blue block here, you would have multiple ones, like 2 or 3 segments, and in between those segments, you would have your promos that are inserted there. Yet you can build your template to reflect that with either promos, commercials, and all of that. Or if you have very specific element that you want to play all the time, let's say every time you go to a commercial break, you want to play the same show, then you could add that specific house number in the template, or even do it manually if it's a special case.
Oh, so if it's something you expect to have repeatedly, you know, like a show that plays at the same time for an extended period of time, you can kind of set that template, like you said, and it'll, if you, once you schedule it, that time block will be the same no matter what.
Exactly. The template is really where all the power of the traffic lives. And all traffic system have the equivalent of that, where you want to have all of your shows should have a similar structure. You know, in the case of this specific client, they have 27-minute shows or 58-minute shows with the balance of the hour being promos. So every station has different recipe for that, but you want to build your template based on that. And if you are reusing it multiple times, you let the traffic system generate all of that content. You do it once, and then he picks the rest. He does the rest of the job.
So does that mean, because I see the interface is set in, I think, either 30 or 15-minute segments on the screen behind this one. Does that mean that you can change that so that?
Oh yeah, that's just you can zoom in.
Okay, I was curious about like if you were putting in really short, brief interstitials or like station IDs, how you would be able to see them like in contrast to the giant 30-minute blocks.
Usually those interstitials are still inside the block, however, in our system. You would not create, you might, okay, but in most cases, it is more efficient to put those interstitials at the end of your templates for your main shows.
Okay.
Because that way you leverage the ability of the traffic to generate the actual house numbers that will be played in those interstitials. And yes, you have the added value, like you said, that you would have very tiny lines here, basically, that you would need to zoom in to see. But so that's why I was doing the example at first. I said this view, I'll show you a full one actually. This view really should look like a TV guide kind of view. Nope, apparently.
Because a TV guide isn't going to show you the commercials that are going to play.
Exactly. So, sorry, I thought there was one that was filled, but I think someone did a test and flushed all of my existing one, I believe. Oh, we might have one here. There's something interesting. Yeah, it's not full. So sorry, but yes, so think of it as a TV guide type of view. So all you see is the eye-level shows, and all of those interstitials, they're built inside those blocks.
Okay.
Whether automatically or manually. One thing that our traffic has, and I know not all traffic systems offer, you can do everything manually. If you so wish, you could enter all of your lines one for one. As I was saying, at that point, I would question why you've purchased a traffic system, but it does allow you to do it. So if you have, sometimes you have one show a season, that one is special because it's a live show, there's a special event, you can always modify and tweak it and adjust it. You're not locked in by what the automatic system does for you.
Okay, great. Thank you for answering my question.
No problem, my pleasure. Any other questions? All right, so I hope you've all appreciated it, and I hope to hear more from you later on if there's anything else.
Thank you, Pascal. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for the presentation.